Hello everyone, how are you? In this video, I will tell you about the creative process of the creative step by step so you can later produce your own translingual poem. Okay, so what you did last meeting, I will call it a prose. So when I say prose, that means it's the story that you wrote last meeting when you, after you try to relieve the memory by closing your eyes and then write down everything that you felt and everything that you remember that day. Okay, so first of all, you have written the prose, so you have done the first step. And then the next thing that you can do is to read that prose and then see the moments or the feelings that are really strong or very dominating. You are the one that understand it. When you read it, you feel so strong about some sentences or some moments. Choose that. So what I do first, usually I will tend to use the first person perspective. So I use the word I, my, and mine for my poem and also my prose because it usually feels more personal, and that will help the readers to understand your feelings more. You can then choose some of the words or sentences that you wrote in the background story or the prose that builds your topic. I'm gonna give you example later. Okay, so this is the example of a prose that I wrote with the exact step that you did, just like what you did last week. So I close my eyes and imagine the most unforgettable moment. But because this is, I wrote this poem quite long time ago, that's why the memory that I remember was also the closest, which is my solo travel when I went to Chicago in 2016. Well, mind you, I cannot give you the example of something that is too personal because I give this example to many students, so I cannot show you the one that is a little bit too personal. But if you want to choose something that is more personal, because I am the only one that will read it, please do. Because the prose that you submit, I will be the only one reading it other than you. So please be as convenient as you can, whatever you feel want to share with me, please do that. Okay, I choose the one that is not so secretive or something that is not so private because I have to give this example in front of the class. So one of the most unforgettable moment that I choose for my poem is my traveling to Chicago because uh, this is unforgettable because I just this is the moment when I felt a struggle, but at the same time I felt accomplishment. So I just had my thesis done, and I was really struggling with my thesis. That I almost wanted to give up, and just felt stupid and felt all negative feelings about me. But and then after that, after I finished, I give myself a gift or a present, and so I did a solo travel in Chicago. So I just write the prose, just like what you did. Whatever I felt at that time, I wrote it. So as you can see, just write everything. And after I read this, I choose some words that I think will show the topic of my poem, like present, for example. So because the travel is a present for me, like a gift for me, and I do it alone. So alone is also the theme of my poem, because I did travel by myself, and strolling or walk around the city is something that is really strong for me, something that give me a very strong memory. Feelings were a mix. Yes, I had a mixed feeling at that time, so this is also becoming the topic of my my poem. And yes, there is the word surreal because yes, that's one of the topic that I want to show in my poem. That this experience is so surreal because this is like a dream come true. That's why I also highlight the word dream. I also highlight the word missing because that's also what I felt at that time. So it was a happy moment, but yeah, there was something missing in me. um, but yes, it was a great feeling. It was everything felt great, but at the same time, even though I feel happy, so I use the word highlight the word happy, but also in a way I felt a little bit lost, literally lost and felt lost. But at the same time, I also have this mixed feeling because I feel brave and wonderful at that time, and I felt strong and enormous, just like the city building. So I highlight the words that I think I will use in my poem from my prose, or I use it as my theme. Okay, so now I'm going to show you an example of what you can do with those sentences, because sometimes we want to tell a story, but and then we we don't know how to make it into a poem. So at least this is what some of the creative process that I do. So first thing first, you can break sentences into phrases. For example, in this example, there is a sentence: I felt so betrayed that she left my father, my sister, and me. So from the story, this person wants to tell about how her mom left the family for whatever reason. So if I'm going to make this story or this sentence into a more poetic sentence, the first thing that I do is I'm going to break down this one long sentence into two. Okay, and I'm going to put them as like a separated phrases or separated sentences. So I turned it into: I felt so betrayed. So I'm going to delete the that, so it will be less formal or less academic, if I may say it. I just want to show my feelings first. So I felt so betrayed, and then I'm going to break the information here, because there are two things that happen. First, the feeling of betrayal, and the second one is that someone is leaving. So I break this into two sentences. I felt so betrayed, she left us. Okay. um, I don't use the word father, my sister, and me, just to make it more, I don't know, a little bit, give a little bit of mystery to the story, that the reader can, um, you know, kind of conclude who is us. If they read the whole poem, they will know that us is family. Of course, in here, the example is only one sentence, so we cannot really see the topic of the poem. Another creative way that I do is to change the sentences into something that will feel more dramatic, you know. So I revise or change the words to show stronger feelings. This is also the time when you can use figurative languages or rhymes. Yeah. For example, I felt so betrayed. The word I felt so betrayed. So I choose the sentence: I felt so betrayed. She left us. She left us. I changed into she could have stayed, just to make it more poetic or to make it more dramatic. Okay. And then I might use some figurative language. So I might change the two sentences into some figurative language. For example, betrayed, here I use the term stab in the back. So this is a metaphor. Betrayed, stabbed in the back, it's a metaphor of betrayal. And when she left, I felt like a shipwreck. So I use a simile here, to show what I felt when she left the family. I hope that you get the gist. So in order to create a poem from our story or our prose, we can use several steps. So in the end, it becomes more poetic, it becomes more dramatic, but the reader still are still easy to understand what we mean. Just make sure you don't use too many figurative languages, because sometimes it becomes a little bit confusing. Okay, so after you try to create the sentences, you can also start choosing whether you want to put the sentences or the phrases into stanzas, okay, or verses. I think some people call it verses or stanzas, or maybe in an essay you call it paragraphs, or you can make like a one line poem. So it's really up to you. Usually well, I have two styles. Sometimes I write it in stanzas, and sometimes I write it in lines, like with just one line. It really depends on how you want to break down the story. For example, if your poem is about something that happens gradually, something that happened in the past and then what happened now, there are stories, there are different topics. So my suggestions is that you write it in stanzas, yeah, so not only one line. So say for example, one stanza talked about something that probably happened previously, what you felt previously, and then stanza 2 is something that you felt right now. If you have different subtopics in your poem, my suggestion is to put it in stanzas, okay, but it's optional. Okay, and then don't forget to rearrange, revise, yeah, keep rereading your poem, and invent the lines that will speak universal truth. What does it mean by universal truth? It means that if you become a reader, your understanding of your poem is going to be the same as you as the author. Well, not maybe not exactly the same, but at least it's not so far-fetched, not so far away. So after you finish your poem, please read again and try to see, if I become a reader, will I also understand this message the same way as I intend them to say? So you need to reread it and imagine that you are a reader and you're not the author, or you're not the writer. Will the reader understand it in the same way? Or if you want, you can ask someone to read your poem and then give a comment to your poem and ask them what your understanding about my poetry. Okay, and then the last thing that you can do is to create a title that represents the topic. Maybe some people create the title first, but usually title comes the last, yeah. You can use the metaphor or the strongest feelings of your poem to choose as the title of your poem. So when people read the title, at least they can get the gist, or they can expect or make a assumption, preliminary assumption of what the poem is. Okay, so this is the example that I showed you before, the prose that I wrote. You can read it by yourself. As you can see, I already highlight some of the words that I want to choose for my poetry, and I wanted to make it into my topics. And so I did several processes to write my poem. And voila, this is the result of the process. So I make the poem into 3 stanzas. Okay, so 3 stanzas. So uh, let me um, show you. This is the first stanza, yeah. This is the first stanza. This is the second stanza, and this is the third stanza. Okay, because I put it into three stanzas because I want to highlight three topics, subtopics of my poem to show the mixed feeling. I told you before that I have mixed feelings about this travel. I give the title "The Summer Breeze" because of showing, because summer is like something figuratively. Summer shows or indicates happiness and sunshines, and when everybody is vacationing, everybody was happy. There are a lot of lights, no snow, no and but at that time there was also breeze is like a slow steady wind, cold wind. So it's summer, it's hot, but at the same time it's not that hot. So there are breeze or just a little windy situation that makes it not so hot or excruciating. And I choose the summer breeze to show the feelings of happiness, but at the same time it's not entirely about happiness. So there is a calm feeling that I want to show in this poem, and that's why I entitle it "The Summer Breeze." And it just happens that it's in the summer, not only metaphorically, but also it happened in the summer. So the first stanza is I don't know if you remember, but in my prose, I also highlight the word stroll. So I use the word I walked and I walked here just to make it more dramatic. So not just saying I strolled around, it's more direct, but I walked and I walk, it just seems more dramatic to me. And then I show in the first stanza the situation at that time where people are being friendly and people are chatting, and the sun was shining, and um, it just feels good. It feels happy, it feels good, and I see the building move slowly. They were big and tall as me. In here, you can see I use figurative language. The building moves slowly. This is personification, because of course the building did not move. I was the one moving, right? Because I was moving, so the building looked like moving with me. So I use personification here. Instead of saying I move along the building, I use the building as the subject. The building moves slowly just to make it more figurative, more poetic. They were big and tall as me. So I compare myself. I use a simile here. I compare myself to the big and tall building in Chicago. So Chicago is famous with their big buildings, skyscrapers. And if you see skyscrapers, you can see they are tall, they are big, massive, and that's how I feel too. That's what I felt at that time. So that's why I use this simile, comparing myself to this building, because I also felt big, because I felt accomplished. I have finished my master's degree. I feel accomplished. Yeah. So the first stanza showed more happy, calm, satisfied feeling. And go to the next stanza. I started to question myself, because there were moments at that day that I don't like entirely 100% happy. So I asked myself, is it possible to feel good or bad about yourself and bad about yourself at the same time? I believed I was happy, but I know I was feeling strange too, but it's strange bad. So there are questions here that I asked to myself, because I was confused with my feelings. Because at that time, yes, I was happy. I was supposed to be happy, but at the same time, I also kind of feel strange. I don't use the word sad, because I was not sad, but I was also not 100% joyful. So it was a little bit of a mixed, confused feeling that I until now I don't know what I felt, how to label what I felt at that time, but because that's the dominating feeling, that's what I wanted to show in one of my stanzas. In here, I use the style of repeating the second two lines. So I said again, the building moved slowly. They were big and tall as me. One of the reasons why I repeat these two words are because that was the feeling that kind of disappeared and then came back again, disappeared and came back again, that I felt during my stay in Chicago for I think around, I don't remember, I think 3 days. So that's what I felt. So sometimes I just felt so happy and accomplished and successful, but at the same times I felt lost, especially because I was alone at that time, like completely alone. And then the last stanza, I talk about the cupcakes, literally cupcakes, because cupcakes are like the symbol of happiness and sweetness. And it happens that that day I ate like the most delicious cupcakes I've ever eaten so far. And people, when they saw me eating the cupcakes, they were coming to me and asking me, where did you buy the cupcake? So the cupcake makes me become the center of attention for some people because it looks so good, and actually it also tastes really really good. So I use the cupcakes and I use the iced coffee to show the sweet and also the bitter feeling, the coldness of the iced coffee, again to show what I felt at that time, because the dominating feeling that I felt that day was a very mixed feeling. It felt good, but at the same time it felt not entirely good. Like, if it can feel cold, even though it's in the summer, but it feels cold, you know. Maybe because of the iced coffee, but the iced coffee and the coldness here is actually talking about um, the feeling that is unclear that I felt at that time. And also, I repeat again the two lines. The building moved slowly. They were big and tall and as me, because that was the feeling that come and go that day. Whenever I felt confused, and then in the end I will feel like, oh my god, I'm so accomplished, I cannot believe that I'm in Chicago. I used to only see the city from movies or from Hollywood movies, and now I'm here in Chicago, so far far away, and I feel so accomplished because of that. But at the same time, I also feel sad, because this is also the travel that I did 2 weeks before I will say goodbye to United States. So it's a very mixed feeling. Okay, so I will give you another example of a very beautiful, beautiful poem that I read in a journal written by Hanauer in 2012. So I quote one sentence from Hanauer: "Show, don't tell." So that's what he suggests when someone write a poem, is to show, more to show and not tell. So this is to say that it's better to show what you feel than tell what you feel. Meaning, you don't always need a lot of words, but people can understand your feelings. Sometimes that's in the form of the way you write your poem. So I have one poem here that I believe can show you the example of how to implement what Hanover say by saying show, don't tell. Because when you tell, it's telling a story, storytelling. So you write short story, but this is not short story, this is a poem. So poem is more of showing your feelings. So there is this poem by a student. The title is Goodbye Ima. So Ima is a call for mother. Yeah, Ima is mother. Okay, goodbye, Ima. As you can see, I'm trying to write the prose of what this person is feeling. So the story is about her mom. Her mom is sick, and she has been sick for years. And then the doctor could not say anything, and she understands that the doctor has tried the best, but it seems like God give different fate. Yeah, it's hard. It's always hard to let go someone that you love, but she realized that she has to. Um, and she wanted to tell the last day when her mom, um, breathed her last breath. She was next to her, and the family was there. She missed her mother, but she believed that she's in a better place. She remembered she touched her hand and felt that her last breath left her body, and so she had to say goodbye. And she, at the same time, she was grateful. It was beautiful, but it's sad. But at the same time, why it's beautiful? Because she relieved. She believed that the pain is gone. Mother doesn't feel the pain anymore, and she keeps visiting the grave every time she went back home, and put some flowers in her cemetery, on her cemetery. So she made this poem. Pretty much this is a story. This is just like the prose that you write, and this is the poem that she made. Um, as you can see here, she is showing her feelings by using scattered words. She doesn't write just, like normal line. Some words are scattered everywhere. Let's see. Goodbye, Ima. Had to say goodbye again, even though we did. Remember? Okay, so she used pauses here. She doesn't immediately write, even though we did, below the words had to say goodbye again, the phrase had to say goodbye again, even though we did. So there are pauses. Pauses can mean a lot. Pauses can sometimes mean someone holding breath, or someone thinking because this is hard for her, or someone waiting for answer, but there is no answer, right? There is emptiness in here, but maybe she give a place for her mother, but her mother of course cannot reply her. As you can see here, she also used another long space, and then she asks remember, as if she's asking someone, and maybe someone that doesn't answer after she waits for a long time to listen to the answer. And then she continued, while they dig this big hole in the, and then she paused again. Maybe this is probably showing the heart, or the hurt that she felt inside, of how it's so unforgettable. It's so surprising that they will dig the ground and put you in there and let you sleep deep down. As you can see here, sleep with a quotation mark, because she's not exactly sleeping. This is metaphor. She's actually sleeping, but sleeping forever, right? Not just a regular sleep. Sleep deep down, and you can see deep below it, down below it, and it's going down and going down. And as you can see here, this looks like, if you see image, the image looks like a coffin, right? This looks like a coffin, and this is below the word ground. You see, we can interpret this as her showing how her mom's coffin put in the ground, or in the hole. Had to say goodbye again, do it my way. Had to say goodbye again, pause again, do it my way this time. So she's telling that now the goodbye is in her way, not in her mom's way. Because right now her mom, usually her mom is the one that say goodbye, because her daughter goes to a different town for working. But right now the one that will say goodbye is her, right? Because now the one that is leaving is her mom. So now the goodbye is in her way. This time with my hand touching the ground. As you can say, with my hand touching the ground. This is the way she say goodbye to her mom. Maybe we can imagine, usually her mom say goodbye by waving her hand and probably her bus leaving, but no, she's saying goodbye by touching the ground. And you can see the way she write the ground is almost the same as the one that she wrote in the one, two, three, four, fifth line, right? The ground here is like separated from the rest of the sentence. It's separated and it's on the corner because we can interpret this as her way of showing that her mom is really something that she cannot reach anymore. That the distance between her and her mother is so far away. Just like the pauses, the empty line that she showed here, and the ground here is the place where her mom is right now, and you can see that the ground is always separated from the rest of the sentences. So I think this is a very beautiful way of showing feelings. And you can see in general, if you see in a glance, the poem is scattered, like the words are everywhere. I think it can easily we can easily say this is how the writer feels about this poem. Now, I hope that you get the gist or get the idea of some of the ways that you can write you turn your prose into a poem. So now it's time for you to create your own poem. Please write a poem based on the prose that you wrote last meeting. Okay, I hope that the poem should be minimum 4 stanzas or 16 lines. Yeah, minimum 16 lines or 4 stanzas. Please use the literary devices when appropriate, not the whole poem using literary devices, yeah, because it will be confusing. Background story, please also turn the story into English. Yeah, so the language is everybody is the same. Everybody use the same language. I understand that some of you probably write in different language last week, but please turn the language into English, and please make sure that it's not too abstract. So when you read it, imagine if people understand it or not. Good luck.